The Sugar Bowl was anything but sweet for the Georgia Bulldogs, who had to trot out a quarterback making his first ever start against the second best defense in the country, and he didn't get much help. Not from receivers making drops, not from Parker Jones. That, of course, is a joke. He did not lose in that football game. But the question is, where do the Dogs go from here? So when we have big existential crises that we need answered, we come to our man Smoke Dixon, who spent some time as a general manager, so knows all about how to fix teams. Let's start with Georgia. I don't think they need a ton of fixing, but they have a lot of work to do. Having to replace a quarterback who's going off to the NFL. Having to, I don't want to say replace, but add some wide receiver talent, as I just discussed with all those drops. So what's your take on what Georgia's offseason priorities should be?
First and foremost, take the car keys and get. No, I'm messing with you. But no, when you look at Georgia, Georgia has to start evolving, and that starts on offense. Like Mike Bobo's offense looked like when he played, and it's now 2025. So you have to get more creative. Use the pieces that you have around you. Because when you look at the game from yesterday, you're saying, okay, you have a mobile quarterback. Where are the quarterback runs? Yes, you move the pocket. Yes, you had some layup throws, which your receivers dropped, and we'll get to the receivers later on. But your mindset has to change. Kirby and said, yes, Mike is one of my good friends, and Mike is a very good coach. But we have to send him away somewhere so we can have more creative pieces to this card that we have. That's a beautiful one in Georgia. Then we'd have to now create something new. Move the quarterback pocket. Have change of strength. Move the offensive lineman around. Have unbalance. Have a vertical game, a horizontal game. Have some screens in there. Put some wildcat. Just have more variety to what the spices are in your kitchen because it's coming out bland.
Yeah, it's not just the spices, as you say. It's the cook as well. And that's something that John Talty, who joined us earlier in the show, also mentioned as a potential off-season move as Mike Bobo and replacing him at offensive coordinator. Another team, Boise State. Ashton Genties do not grow on trees. It would be very nice to just bring another one of those guys in for next season. But where can this team look to improve in the offseason?
Well, you have to look to improve. The first thing is get some more investors. And if I'm a Boise alum or I want to invest in that team, you have to look up and say, wow, they played in the Fiesta Bowl in one of the top 4 teams. So I should be running to the head coach's office. The administration should be drumming up the best scheme to get more money so they can go out and acquire better talent. And that's not necessarily like we always talk about the number one offensive lineman or the number one passer or the number one running back, but you have to have a collective of all good players, just like they had on their team this year. When you look at it, there were no names on the offensive line. They're 2 stars, maybe 1 star. But Brandon Jones and Coach Spencer over there done a very good job of just getting in the best. You're in a very good area where you have the Big Sky, JUCOs, that you can now say, I want to recruit the best 10 guys to come in and replace a lot of veteran-laden offensive line to come in. And the playmakers are going to travel. Because when you have a quarterback that can do it, you have Dirk Cutter, that's a very good offensive coordinator that's evolved, even though he's an NFL guy. You see some zone read in there. You see some RPOs in there. Now we have a running back. So I'm going to make sure that the whole scheme fits around my best players. So invest, acquire better talent, but just keep on building and showcasing that Boise is a destination if you're a primetime player, because we can brand you like they did Ashton Genty.
Did want to mention real quick, Dirk Cutter did announce that he is retiring. He did build the foundation, though. That is a tough loss for them for sure. But I think there's a lot of G5 programs who would love to bring in some more offensive and defensive line talent, but that's probably the toughest job that they have ahead there. How about for Arizona State? We were talking about the Peach Bowl in the break before headed into this segment. I think we're going to be talking about that game for a really long time. What should their offseason priorities be if they want to be back in this position next year?
Well, they started off on a good foot of extending Coach Dillingham and giving him that assurance of, yes, you are there. But again, I'm gonna say it. I'm going to say it till my face is blue. Whatever your conference says is going to help you win, you have to invest in that way. And that's heavy in the offensive line and playing dirty. But also, you have a quarterback out there that's shown the world that I am an effective quarterback, an efficient quarterback. So other than Jordan, the only receiver that you have, Tyson Jordan, is the only receiver that you have, you got to get more pieces, more dynamic playmakers on the outside just to help out. So when you do have to get the ball out to him, Sam doesn't have to make a picture-perfect pass and be a persistent passer. Just lob it up to him, underhand toss it to him. But when I do throw it to you, score when you get it.
I think a priority for them, too, is keeping Sam Levitt as well. He's young, and there's probably going to be some programs coming after him. I mean, how much is defense a part of the offseason strategy as offense?
Well, retention of your quarterback's one of the hardest things. And when you haven't heard word on the buzz of saying Sam is getting offered this amount, and when you do extend your head coach, one of the things that I know that Kenny probably went in there and was like, hey, listen, if I'm getting extended, my quarterback has to get extended. Because starting out, we are always built to understand that college football is a program that you build over for 3 years. Emily, it's a 1-year adjustment period. So all the answers I'm giving to you is 1 year fix. You have to get it right within 6 months, get everybody up to speed by spring, get everybody going by December, and get ready to roll in January, because that's when it all starts over again for the playoffs.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is where Arizona State has set the bar. Their first year in the Big 12, and they win the whole thing, and they go to the playoffs. So I think there's going to be some expectations to do that once again. Oregon, they ran into the buzzsaw that is Ohio State in the postseason. They will be replacing Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. Where do you think they should go there and maybe elsewhere on this team?
Well, you have to adopt what your league says you have to do, and that's invest in your interior offensive line. Both their tackles are NFL studs. But throughout the year, they had issues protecting from inside out. And you saw Gabriel running for his life, not because of edge pressure, but they were running a lot of stunts from the tackles and the ends coming inside, and they weren't very firm on the inside. So adopt the principle of the Big Ten, where you have to have big men inside on defense and on offense. And I've always talked about making sure the spine of your team is strong, and that's your center guard, quarterback, running back. Quarterback was good this year. Running back got hurt, and it was like, whoa, what do we do now? So you have to get another complementary piece. You see what Penn State does. And on defense, do the same. Your edges are awesome. Your skilled players are very good. They can cover. Your linebackers can run and erase plays. But when it comes down to January play, which Oregon is ready for, they're only one cycle away. You have to get that interior of your defense and your offense more firm and more beefy, stout, and ready to take a punch in the face. But when you get punched in the face, ask for more. Because I have my brother behind me that's willing to come punch you as well, too.
Yeah, it's hard to nitpick this Oregon team
No,
that also came into a league for the first time, won it, was undefeated until they ran into Ohio State. So how much more work actually needs to be done to get them to where they want to go, which is a national title?
Slight work.
Little tweaks.
And it's tweaking of understanding, like I said, who you're going to play against and what type of form of football do you want to play. And when you are one of those top-tier teams, you have to be like an all-terrain vehicle. Off-road, you have to be good. That's when you have to play a game and win by 3 points and bleed the clock out, and that's running the football and stopping the team on 3rd and 1. Or do I want to get in a shootout, which they're ready for because they have pieces on the outside, and Oregon's always going to be able to afford the right pieces on the outside. But when it comes down to it, the formula of building your team, you have to have someone within your building to evaluate the offensive, defensive line, and I'm speaking interior. Tackles are easy to find. If they look pretty, they can move well, they can adjust, great. But the guys on the inside, it's a mindset that you have to have with strength and just being firm that you have to win. And I think that's where they're at. Once they get that, they're there. But it's not the easiest thing to do.
I can tell what your mindset is, too. I think you mentioned offensive and defensive line for almost all of these teams. I know that that is the quickest way to improvement. He is Smoke Dixon. Thank you so much. You're going to catch more of him on our Transfer Portal show on Monday. We're recapping all of the action from this winter window. We are live at 1 Eastern on the 24/7 Sports YouTube page and also live on X.